Hey y'all, welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. I am just like all over the place with these reads, and I don't even know what to say other than thank you for hanging out with me while I go through this transition of energy and testing it out here, testing it out there, recalibrating, going back, figuring out what's working for me and why it's working and what's not working and why it's not working. Um, yeah, I mean, it's all going to change like completely. Um, but in the meantime, like I love doing this. I've been doing this for the better part of a decade. It beats me. Okay. That's my little explanation there, I guess. Okay, collective. Y'all got the storm, the empty room, the healer, and the poet. Well, having to figure things out, having to, I mean, the storm is just, well, I don't know. I was sitting outside last night and it was just thunder and lightning and I mean, I can see over the whole valley, so it's like it was so beautiful. And there's something so like cleansing and peaceful about a good thunderstorm, and just sitting in that, like in the power of nature, and enjoying it. But I feel like, that's the idea with the empty room and the storm is just kind of stepping outside of the storm, right? Because when you're watching the storm from afar, it's beautiful, it's powerful, it's awe-inspiring. But when you're in the middle of it, it's like, no, thank you. I'll sit up above it and watch it from afar. And I think that that's what we've had to do in a really big way. Just however that plays out for you, because I know we're all experiencing that in different ways. Um, but I think that when we pull back, when we really, I don't know, just pay attention to all of the little nuances of everything, because well, I don't know. I just think of like what makes the storm, right? The cold air and the hot air, and they clash, and then like the storm occurs, and when you understand the ingredients, when you understand the way that it comes to a head, I guess is what I want to say, because I'm just thinking of like a boiling pot of water now. It's easier to calibrate your measurements. We're cooking here all of a sudden. Okay, let's see what we get in terms of clarifiers. No, I'm happy. I love doing readings. I think that's been part of my frustration, just personally, is that literally like something that I love being like run over by people who I don't even like, and like how trying that can be. Whether you're working on something that you have like an art project, and then all of these people want to roll up and they want to tell you what materials you have to use and why you have to use them and how you have to use them. Like if you're at work and like what, say you've had your own practice, and then, you go work for corporate, and now all of a sudden you have to adhere to their mandates, and it doesn't make, it's counterintuitive. Fights with your family, and it's just kind of like, what's the problem? Where's the issue? Because again, I just feel like the right ingredients, the right personalities, the right amount of misinformation, the right amount of arrogance, you know what I mean? Just the right amount of all things bad. And figuring out why and how and who and where and when, and I think feeling called to just go in another direction, because sometimes the silver lining of all of the shit that you have to deal with other people is the strength and the understanding that you acquire within yourself, so that you're able to heal those energies within yourself, so that you're able to go in a direction that doesn't attract all of the bad. Instead, it calls in the beauty. Love that. Okay. Hope everyone's doing well, having a lovely day today. Knight of Cups, missing out. The world, yeah. Confusion, manipulation, I just feel like the wrong people, the wrong intentions, the wrong perspective, the wrong approach, the wrong everything. Just dealing with people who don't seem to understand. And we've all experienced that in different areas or different ways in our lives. I mean, there's a meme that rolls around, that's been rolling around for years, but it's something along the lines of, like, you don't realize how bad it is until you step back from it, and you've stepped outside of the situation. And I feel like you've stepped outside of a situation and you're understanding all of the ways that fear, pride, arrogance, control, I just feel like all of these things that have just been controlling you, whether they've been controlling you out of their own pride or controlling you from your own sense of pride, whether they've been controlling you from well, I just think of like breadcrumbers, you know what I mean? Like people who breadcrumb. Listen, I cannot tell you, dear men, and I'm sure there are women who do this too, but as a woman, my experience has been with men who lurk and scheme and plot because they like you are not men that you want to fuck with. Red flags for days. You know what I mean? Because a good man holds space for you, takes interest in you, has a conversation with you, because taking interest in somebody is not the same thing as like stalking them. Taking interest in someone is not the same as psychoanalyzing, taking information to other people. Like that is obsessive and not healthy. And it happens in so many ways, from like high level to low level. You see it a lot. And those people are usually very emotionally reactive, because they feel like they have a right to attain information about you from outside sources as though it were your truth. Yes, the ones who stand in the corner of the room, the ones who stand at the corner and lurk, the lurkers. Some of y'all are dealing with genuine lurkers. Like you've just got some homies out there lurking. This is a PSA for you gentlemen out there who lurk. Bad look. Bad look. Can you recover from it? I don't know. I've yet to witness it personally. Because the only people who lurk are the people who seek to control. The only people who lurk are the people who are looking for an in. People who are looking for an in aren't people who just genuinely connect with you. Because genuine connection is a natural occurrence. It's not something that's like people are lurking around trying to do that. I don't want to, for people who aren't like full-blown lurkers and they're just like interested in somebody, then show some initiative, I don't know. I feel like it's like a battle of the egos for some people. But like red flags, red flags, red flags. And I just kind of feel like maybe that's the healing point, the finding the beauty in it, is that you've learned where the red flags exhibit themselves. You've learned that things that present themselves as flattering are actually things that will be very detrimental. Um, Flattery, really and truly, and I know, well, because I'm a Leo Sun, Leo Moon, Leo Venus. And yes, we love to be adored. There's no question about it. But also, we adore with our heart and soul. You know what I mean? So, in authentic adoration is like a dirty diaper in a spa bathroom. You know what I mean? It has the opposite effect. I think it sends people running. Well, especially if they're, if they have Leo, because again, I just think it's a misconception. This is another reason that I don't want to do signs anymore. But, yes, there's the light and there's the shadow of every sign. It is what it is. But if you approach someone who's in the light as though they are in the shadow, then you will have the result of staying in the shadows, I feel like I'm coaching somebody who's like trying to make their move. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe you're learning from the mistakes of the ones who went before you. I don't know. Okay. Business lurking versus personal lurking. Stalking versus understanding investments. I don't know. I mean, you can try and spin it any way you want to, but like red flags are red flags are red flag, because again, I mean, even if you're talking about business partnership, if you really like something that somebody does, you say, hey, I really like what you do and I'd love to have a conversation with you about it, right? Like it doesn't have to be some big, huge thing. You have a conversation, you vibe or you don't, you go your separate ways or you don't. You know what I mean? Like you don't create some massive portfolio of false information in terms of business and then expect people to do business with you any more than you would lurk, stir drama, build gossip, like a tank full of gossip that's not true, and then expect somebody to date you. I mean, like, none of that makes sense to me. But I really do see it like in the world and like on like all levels. And usually the justification that people offer is, something along the lines of, well, I wanted to see, like what I was getting myself into. And yeah, there is that. But also, you learn what you're getting into by stepping into situations with people, right? Like, well, you can always say, like when you are getting into a relationship and then you have your first weekend getaway or whatever, and you go and you're spending the night together, you're waking up together, you're seeing each other's routines, you know what I mean? Like you get to know somebody, and as you get to know them, you decide whether or not those are things that you can work with or whether or not you can't, right? You just don't like run into something that you like blindsided, but you don't exclude someone from something that you want with them, right? It's like the telltale sign of a fuckboy is that he runs to his girlfriends to tell him what to do for the woman who he is truly in love with, and you're like, wow, you are a special breed of child, aren't you? You know what I mean? Because men don't behave that way. But yeah, I mean, we do live in a society where people take a lot longer to grow up. And, like it's not to say that they won't ever grow up. It's just as an acknowledgement that they haven't. Um, and I don't know. I guess that's the conversation that wanted to be had. So that's what's happening. we have the Hermit, the Seven of Swords, Temperance, the King of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, and the Chariot. Oops. Oh my gracious. Okay. Well, I mean, there's definitely, some things that are being left behind, right? The world is ending, the feeling left out, the having to walk away from battles, take pulling away, right? Because again, like if you are in on the side of attracting this kind of energy, attracting these types of things, pulling away and figuring out, okay, what is it about me that is ensuring that I keep running to these types of energies, these types of people, these types of approaches, when they always seem to be wrong, they always seem to be controlling, because we attract to ourselves what we put out, into the world. And maybe it's one of those things where it's like, well, I have to be more honest, because if I'm more honest, then I don't feel the need to be as protective, right? And I mean, I don't even think that's always to say that you weren't honest, because I feel like, for me personally, I think people want to say that I haven't been honest. And yet, like you can go back years and years and see how honest I've been and how upfront I've been. It's just that people aren't always willing to hear what you're saying to them. And their willful ignorance is not your lying, but your ability to move beyond that. Like there's something there, right? And I feel like we've been kind of reviewing like what is it that's there that is attracting that kind of energy to me. I think for a lot of us, there is this idea of just really realizing that we are, like better off on our own, better off maintaining focus in the directions that it needs to be and not being distracted. Like whether it's a sense of validation, for me, I think, a lot of what started this weird thing that I found myself caught in was like this need for validation. But instead of receiving a validation that was encouraging and uplifting, I received a validation that was lurky, stalker, critical vibe. You know what I mean? And so I had to, like I have to step back. I have to clean my energy. I have to do these things so that, like everything about me says that if you come at me with that energy, you will not succeed. And have it actually be heard. Because I just kind of feel like there is a sense of emotional detachment here. If you steal from my peace, then you have no place in my life. If you create chaos, if you create drama, if you bring stress to my door, then you have no place at my table. I just kind of feel like there is the sense of calling your power back, taking things into your own hands, shutting down things that are no longer allowed, no longer welcome. And I feel like just being really clear about it. And again, I don't always think that it isn't that we haven't been clear. I think it's just that people haven't been willing to listen. But it's very true. When people are used to having your energy, having access to your energy, and then they no longer have access to your energy, that's the loudest thing you could say. And yay us for doing what needed to be done. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I definitely am excited for where things are going and how they're going. I definitely feel like I have people who are kind and and come with a pure level of intention. And spirit always knows exactly what they're doing, and thank God. But Gnosis is the idea of deep inner knowing, cyclical learning, and I feel like we're coming to an end of a cycle. We're stepping forward into healing. And I think for a lot of us, experiencing a level of emotional detachment in the actions that we're taking to do that, because the truest form of freedom really is detaching yourself emotionally from things. And keeping an open eye for people who want to attach you to things. They want to attach you to, well, this, like this is going to happen, or you should be ready for that, or you should be ready for this, because Spirit's already resolved it. You don't have to do anything. And you certainly don't have to be afraid, because people who lurk want you to be. Okay, well, yay, a read. I'm so excited. Love y'all. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you again soon, I'm sure. Yeah, thanks for being on this journey with me, because I can't even lie. I've had so much fun, just like thinking back on all of the reads that I've done and all of the energies that I have encountered, and sometimes I think that Spirit just giggles, and sometimes I'm like, and I get really upset about it, but I appreciate the joy in the end, because I usually end up giggling a little bit about it too. So, yay. Okay, well, again, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing energy with me. Thanks for allowing me to share my energy with you. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.